You've made it to the final episode in this three-part series all about embodying your masculinity. Today we're going to discover the 3 keys to removing insecurities surrounding your masculinity. Okay, and then if you want more help, we'll see what we can do, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, point number 1, trust in the foundation for how to be a man, the Bible. So trust in the foundation of how to be a man, the Bible. Okay, so a number of scriptures that come to mind when I think about that. First one I want to read out is 1 Corinthians chapter 16 verse 13 to 14. It says, "Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong, let all that you do be done in love." Okay, and another verse I want to look at is 1 Timothy 5:8. "But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." Okay, so a few scriptures to look at, but not to go too deep into it, but just to explain that for a man to be a man, essentially he needs a foundation. He needs a strong foundation to move forward. Okay, he needs something that keeps him steady, that keeps him on his feet. The Bible also mentions about building a house. If you build a house on the sand, it will be weak, it will be flimsy, and it will not be able to create anything, will not be able to stand firm in any kind of situation, any kind of weather. But if you build a house on a rock, you'll be in a position where you'll be able to stand firm. You'll be in a position to deal with different things that comes this way. And what I notice today in today's society, more and more men are getting influenced by social media, TikTok, all these different toxic things that are promoting men to be more weak, more flimsy, more unsure of themselves, more uncertain, not focusing on vision, not focusing on direction, not focusing on bettering yourself and being the ultimate you, the best you can be. And that could be in any walk of life. It doesn't mean you have to be a soldier, it doesn't have to mean you have to be a top athlete, but at least be someone who's willing to put themselves on the line and face challenges on a regular basis. So you're actually facing challenges that will make you grow, that will expand your mind, expand who you are, and make you stronger. But what I've noticed today is we avoid that. Many people are avoiding that, especially men today, or the influence that's being thrown onto men of being weaker, being nicer, being less focused on your masculine and more focused on your feminine side, or your nice side, or your effeminate side. And those are the role models of today. The men who are dressing up as women, in a sense, men who are dressing up in feminine clothes, who are wearing makeup, who are painting their nails. And if they want to do it, that's fine, go do your thing. But when it comes to stability, when it comes to building a society that's successful, you can't rely on those people to do that. You can't rely on those people to make that difference. When it comes to the growth, when it comes to the infrastructure of society, you need strong men to deal with that. You need strong men to build buildings. You need strong men to develop and protect the system around us, who keeps things working, keeps things going at all hours of the night, and all kinds of weather, to allow power to continue, to allow electricity to go to your house, to allow heat and all these different things that are provided now, to keep them working, to keep them taking over, so society doesn't fall apart, so it doesn't fall into chaos without those things, without that structure. And it needs strong men with a strong foundation for that to happen. Okay, and you might not be a Christian, you might not follow the Bible, but for me, I think if you don't have that strong influence in your life, you don't have that foundation in your life, you'll never have any kind of certainty, you'll never have any kind of baseline in your life, and you'll always be moving back and forth, trying to work out what your purpose is, trying to work out what your role is, what you should do. But if you have the Word of God in your life, if you have that kind of solid structure in your life, you know deep down, you know in your soul, you know physically, you know emotionally what your role is and what you should do, which is to be a strong provider, someone who is diligent in his work, someone who makes decisive decisions to move forward, to create something bigger and better, to improve his life, to improve society's life, and of course, if he has a household and a family, to improve their life and keep them safe, keep them protected, and keep them covered from all kinds of evil and all kinds of poverty situations or negative situations or painful situations. Brings us to point number 2. It's decide to target your deepest vision. Decide to target your deepest vision. Now, when I say that, what I mean by that is you should know exactly what you're going for in life, and you should know exactly what you fear in life. Okay, so once you're clear on those 2 things, you can make a direct plan on how to deal with both of them. Too many people today, too many men today have fears, have uncomfortable thoughts, have doubts about certain parts of their life, and they choose to avoid it instead of taking on the challenge. This wasn't the case years ago. This wasn't the case back in the day when it came to any kind of situation where you had to step up and stand up for your position, your family, your flock. You had to defend your kin, your people, your land. You were meant to stand up. You had to, or you would lose it. If you didn't stand up for things, you would lose things. But today we've developed a society where we can be very comfortable, very safe, and not have to work that hard to maintain an average life, to keep your home, to keep your house in check, to put food on the table. You can live a very average life. And the problem with that now, we've created a society of ease and a society of comfort where men don't challenge themselves anymore, men don't grow anymore. And when we look at how the world is becoming, it's becoming much more softer. People are spending so much more time worried about offences and being threatened when it comes to their thoughts or their vision for themselves or insecurities. Instead of being stronger and improving yourself and bettering yourself, you want to just sit in your insecurities, sit in your weakness, and expect the world to accept you the way you are. So weakness becomes the new thing. Weakness becomes the main runner in society. Playing the victim becomes the main way to be. The main way to be in charge to govern society today. And I understand it's nice to cater to people and support people and help people, but when it gets to the point where it's affecting society so much, we're not growing, we're not building ourselves in a way that will become more successful in the future. We're actually hurting ourselves when we cater to this weakness, when we cater to this feeling sorry for ourselves society. The only thing that will happen is more and more people will get weaker, more and more people will indulge in their comforts, more and more people will choose to live a life where comfort and being lazy and being unfulfilled and being unsuccessful is just the way of life. And as you see, society will get weaker. It'll get weaker, and the stronger will get weaker, and society will not grow, will not advance. And if anything happens, God forbid, anything happens where we have to fight, where we have to stand up for ourselves, where there has to be a war, because it is 2023, but war still exists. It is 2022, but people are still fighting. People are still willing to fight. It's like, are we set to protect ourselves in the worst moments? Are we ready to defend ourselves? And going by today's world, it looks like we're not. It looks like we can't even feel comfortable in ourselves anymore. We can't even accept who we are. We need people to cater to our insecurities rather than stepping up and being strong on today's society. Which moves us to the final point, is accepting who you are. Accepting who you are. Point number 3, accepting who you are. And when I look at myself, I look at the example I have for myself, I got to a point where I had many doubts on myself. I had many insecurities about how I perceived myself and all these different areas, all these different things. But it got to a point where I had to make a decision. I had enough. I had to decide, well, is this the way I'm going to look at life going forward? Is this my future? Or am I going to make a decision to actively target what I want to do, choose my future, make a clear decision of what I want to do, and make a clear strategy and plan towards that? And that's what I did. I decided to change my mind, stop playing the victim, stop being the weak person, and seeing everyone else as better than me, or seeing as myself as not being able to compete with the rest of the world, or the alpha men, or the men who are leaders in society, and decided to make a decision to be, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make myself, just challenge myself to go for the things that I want to go for, and be able to do it without worrying about how people see me, how I'm perceived, what the vision is. And again, that's one thing that helped me when it came to that was my faith, actually believing in the Word of God, because it separates you from the mindset in the world today. It separates you from this society of weakness, shallowness, insecurities. Once you accept the Word of God as truth, once you live the life devoted to the Word of God and to live by God, stop seeing things as so shallow. You stop looking at things in such a weak mind or a shallow mind. And that decision took me out of that mold, took me out of that society, out of that life. Even though I still live in society, I said my mindset is different, my faith is different, my heart is different. So I don't believe that I'm limited in any way now. I don't believe that whatever I've been born with is a hindrance. It's just what's been given to me. So I've got to make it work. Okay, one thing I struggle with, I don't have the best memory, so instead of saying, oh, well, I can't go through life now because I can't remember things, just say, no, I'll work on what I can work on. I'll use what I have. I'll make the most of it. And if you make the most of it and you take action, active action on a daily basis to make the most of what you're capable of, that's when you see growth. That's when eventually you'll get change. That's when eventually you'll get to a place where you're better than you were before. And you don't allow all these external things to dictate to you or control you or tell you that you're insecure or tell you that you can't do things or that you're weak or that you need other people to support you for you to be better. No, it's having that faith in yourself and having that faith in God so you can create a clear strategy to move towards your vision, a clear strategy to break out of your insecurities, to break out of your doubts, and to break out of the things that are holding you back in this life. Okay, right, that's it for this series regarding masculinity. Please like this video if you are interested, or if you do like it, or again, drop a comment if you have something to say. You feel like we brought up some interesting points and you want to just, I guess, share what you've learned. If you are interested in my full plan for embodying your masculinity and the results that come with it, like I said, just give me a like, just let me know. You can even send me a DM, drop a comment, and I'll reach out to you so that we can talk a little bit further, talk a bit more. Thanks for listening. It was fun, and yeah, until next time.